because when the year that I graduated from law school,
Which was?
1963, Gideon versus Wainwright comes down that says every court in the land has got to appoint a free lawyer to defend in serious criminal cases. So everywhere, every jurisdiction is trying to figure out what to do and how to provide lawyers.
So you're at the right place at the right time.
At the right place at the right time, exactly. And so, but what happened was that I clerked, and then I wanted to go to work for this little pilot project, we used to call them. I don't think they call them that anymore. Pilot. It was a pilot project that had been started in D.C. for how you would provide counsel if you were not going to have just appointed counsel. And see, the appointed counsel system worked pretty well in D.C. because there's so many lawyers. But they wanted to see if you would have an actual institution like a public defender. And so this little pilot agency had started, and Gary Bello, this man who eventually went to Harvard and started their clinical program. But Gary Bello had started this little agency, but I applied there when I finished clerking, but they didn't have an opening. So I went to work for this famous criminal defense lawyer, Edward Bennett Williams. And I worked for him for 2 or 3 years representing, but at that time he was doing just criminal work. So I saw a lot about how you can represent people if you have unlimited resources.
These are criminals with money.
Criminals with money, with lots of money, really lots of money. So this was a lot of organized crime cases, and but then there was an opening at at what was then called the Legal Aid Agency, and so I left Williams and went there as a staff attorney, and then within about a year, and tried cases, etc. there, and then in about a year, we had a kind of coup, and then I became the head of the agency, and we got a new statute establishing this public defender service, and I became the head of that, and that's the sense in which I created it. But but there are a lot of things I do take credit for being the leader of, the inspirational leader of things that made it a model agency. We had a staff of social workers that would work on getting people jobs and getting them into treatment programs and that kind of thing, and writing an alternative to the probation report that recommended probation or something even better, and we had a staff of investigators, and I was able to hire absolutely incredible top people.
So even running this public defender's office, you continued. You were an administrator, but you continued to go to court as well.
I did, yes, I did, and I first of all, I had this great deputy, so I could leave him in charge, and then secondly, I really found 2 things. One is that if you want to lead, be an inspirational, a spiritual leader, you've got to be in the trenches. I mean, you can't tell people to do things if you're not willing to do them yourself. But secondly, I had to tell the truth, which is it just was great to get out of the office and in the courtroom where you can't be reached, and to think, and to be able to just think about one thing and not a whole bunch of other things, and you know how it is when you're wound up in a trial. That's all you think about day and night. And what I did was just take, I tried about 10 cases a year. Now, when I look back on on our conversations together, I was just really struck by almost every other word being, I work so hard, I work so hard. But I really worked hard, but it was so much fun too. It was so engaging. And
can you give us one more story? Something that happened in court that stayed with you? One of the cases?
Oh, well, my dear, I have so many. But let's see. I have. I'll tell you my signature story, which is.